ain't concerned about a date as much as he is that you know it happened. If you learned how to do construction work, there was a day you learned how to do it. If you learned the job that you work on, there was a day you learned how to do it. You say, Brother John, I don't remember that day, then you probably never learned how to be that. He said, I don't remember ever learning this. I don't remember ever learning that. I don't remember ever learning this or that. If you don't have a day that you remember, you probably never learned. And if you don't have a day that you remember getting saved, you've never been saved. Because there's got to be a day where Jesus moved in your life. Amen. You've got to be forgiven. Listen to this. I thought about this, not only the reckoning, but listen to this. Let me tell you what a year's wages was of that day. A year's wages was 800 talents. 800 talents was a year's worth of wages. Let's listen. Listen to this, verse 24. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him which owed him 10,000 talents. 10,000 talents. More than 10 years worth of labor that he owed. He had taken from this man 10 years worth of labor and more. His debt was great. His debt was big. I'll tell you this, our debt was so great we couldn't pay it. You say, I'm a child, I'm a young person, that's great. But listen to me, young people, your debt as a sinner was so great that you could not pay it. Listen, adults, your debt as a sinner was so great that you could not pay it. You say, I'm a good person, that's great. I'd shirt off my back if I needed to keep somebody warm. That's great. I'm telling you that you owed a debt you couldn't pay. That's so great you couldn't pay it. Listen to this. 10,000 talents. Listen to this. He said, and when he had begun to reckon, or verse number 25, but for as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. He was going to pay it off for being a slave. Boy, that's exactly how we was going to pay it off, except our payment was going to be in hell. One preacher said it this way the other day, and I liked how he said it. If your sin is on you, then you're going to hell. Your sin can only be two places. It cannot be more than two places. It's in one place or the other. If your sin is on your life, then you are going down and you are going to hell. But if your sin is on Jesus and take your sin and forgive your sin and cleanse you and wash you, then you're going to heaven. It's that simple. If your sin lies on you and your life, you're going to hell. But if it lies on Jesus, everything wrong you've done, everything that you've done that you wish you wouldn't have, every sin you've ever committed, everything you've ever done, it's laid on the Lord Jesus, you're going to heaven. Because you are forgiven. 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 Y'all say that word with me. That sounds good. Forgiven. 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 Help me. Forgiven. 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 Don't that sound good? Don't that sound good? That's just a pretty word. When I got saved, I read that word justified. That it means just as if I never sinned. That just as if I never will. Hey, but I'll tell you, just as equal, as good as that word is, has that word to be forgiven. That word sounds beautiful. That word sounds wonderful. Had to hear it come from the lips of God, it's even greater. Forgiven. Forgiven. Let me give you this. Servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. He just put it all on me, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Me and Lord, I'll pay it. It is. He couldn't pay it. Listen, verse 25 again. So how you know he couldn't pay it? Verse 25 said, but for as much as he had not to pay. Listen, that man reached in his pocket. He reached in his wallet. He couldn't have pulled out $1. That man couldn't have pulled $1 out. He couldn't have pulled $1 out. He didn't have anything. He was asking for $1 to borrow. He didn't have $1. He had not to pay. He had nothing to pay. He didn't have no change. He couldn't reach in his pocket and got a dime. He couldn't reach his other pocket and got a nickel or a quarter or a penny. He had nothing to pay. He had nothing to give. Well, that's just like us. We had nothing to give. I couldn't pay my way out of my sin. I couldn't pay my way out to be forgiven. I couldn't pay my way out of going to hell and going to heaven. I couldn't do it. I didn't have enough to pay. In fact, I had nothing to pay. That song, say, I love that song Malia sung. I come by the way of the cross. I'll tell you, I had nothing to claim but my sin and my shame. Hopelessly lost. Love shine down on me and washed all my sins away. I say hallelujah. Amen. Had nothing to pay, but he washed my sins away. Amen. Because I am forgiven. You're saved. You are that. You're forgiven. Amen. You may not have nothing to pay. You may not have nothing to give. I'll be honest with you, we live in a world where everybody wants to get something out of you. Amen. They want something from you. They'll give you something as long as you give them something back. Won't they? Man, we ain't got nothing to give. And honestly, if you was to look at our life, ain't nothing honorable about our. I'm telling you, we have nothing to give, nothing to hand up to God. Nothing. Listen to this. Verse 26. He told us, I will pay thee all. Listen to this, the redemption. Told you about the royalty, the reckoning, the recompense. I really like this one, the redemption. Y'all say redemption? Y'all young people say redemption with me? Redemption. Say it again. Redemption. Say it again. Redemption. Redemption. You know what that means? That means to be bought with a price. That means to be purchased. That means if you got something for sale, that I got enough money to buy what you got for sale. I got enough money to get what you got. Well, if you got $1, you probably ain't got to buy nothing. Y'all agree with that? Anybody you think you get? Well, if they go down a little bit more, it would. But anyhow, amen. They ain't there yet. Go on down to $1. That'd be a blessing. Amen. That'd help everybody. Bring it on down, Donald Trump. Bring it down, Trump. But listen, that $1 might buy you some gum. That $1 might buy you a little bit of something. I'm talking about a human soul. Which the Bible said about this $1. It said you could take money on top of money on top of money and lay it down till you never ceased. $1 after $1, 5, 10 after 10, 100 after 100, and keep on laying it down and never pay for one human soul. You take somebody's entire house and all their goods and sell everything inside of it and never have enough to buy one person out of hell. Never. What made me sick, I heard this morning, I try to remember where they had them to die at this morning, wherever it was. I don't know where it was at. Somebody had died. And they said the Pope was going to pray for the souls of those that died. I thought, Pope, pray all you want to, but ain't nobody going to get help after they die. Pray all you want to after somebody's dead, but that ain't going to do it. You die. Mama can cry. Daddy can weep. Everybody can pray. We can call a vigil, and everybody get around an altar. And still they'll be in hell. They've never been saved. And still they'll be in heaven if they were saved. Man, there ain't no middle ground. Man, there's people who teach that there's a hell, and then there's a purgatory, and then there's a heaven. No, they ain't but two. There's a hell, and there's a heaven, and that's it. That's it. There's a hell and there's a heaven, and that's it. Listen, I'm not interested in opinion. You tell me there's a middle place. But the Bible, if the Bible don't say there's a middle place, there is not a middle place. You say, boy, I'll pray for the dead. That's great. But that don't mean anything's going to happen with it. Once you're I said it the other night on Wednesday night, but I'll say this again. What if you cried out to God, but it was too late to do it? Said, boy, I want to get saved now. I'm ready. But you're already in hell, and there's no chance to get saved. What if you die and you're saved by the grace of God, and you get to the place where you get ready to lay your crowns at the feet of Jesus, and you realize that you have none? You know what you're going to want to say? Could I go back? Could I go back and do this again? Oh, one more chance at this. I want to do this one more time. Listen, you ain't got but one life, young people. And can I tell you, as an adult, do not waste your life on anything the devil's got for you. Hey, don't waste your life on anything the world's got to offer. I found it without joy. I found it to make you empty. I found it to depress you. I found it to tear your life to pieces. But I found Jesus to be a friend that stick it closer than a brother. I found Jesus to be an adult. I found Jesus, hey, to be the dearest friend I've ever had. Amen. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Listen to this verse. I'm glad I'm redeemed. Say, this guy pay anything on his debt? No. Not a thing. Not a thing. Not a thing. Didn't pay nothing, Miss Dorothy. Not a thing did he pay. Not a thing. He didn't pay church membership. He did not pay baptism. He didn't pay good works. He didn't pay anything. All he did was fall down at the feet of the one he owed the debt to. And the one he owed the debt to was moved. Ain't you glad? Y'all ever seen people that are hungry and you want to help them? You ever seen people on TV? You know, that's why people give money to stuff on TV. When they see them kids over in Africa and they malnutrition, their eyes begin to water and their heart begins to move, and they say, I got to give something to that. I got to give something to that. Well, it's people who see firemen out there on the side of the road, and they'll say, oh, man, we had a family down the road, their house burnt down. We're trying to see about getting them a new house. You know why people give that? Because their old heart got to moving. And they said, no, I got to do something. I got to give to that. I got to give to that. Thanks God God's heart moves. Thanks God God's heart is not old, bitter, hard heart that says no. Wouldn't it have been bad? Y'all young people has been saved. You adults has been saved. Wouldn't it have been bad when you slid in that altar on your way to heaven and said, God, I'm sorry. God, I want you to save me. God, I want you to forgive me. That whenever you did that, God sat on his throne and God said, no. No. I'm not doing it. No. Wouldn't that have been bad if God sat on his throne saying, no? Ain't you glad God didn't say no? When you ran to an altar, when you prayed at your house, when you prayed anywhere you prayed, I prayed on some steps in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and y'all gonna go look at some of them steps, and I won't say what Jesus did, tell you about what Jesus did on some steps at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Hey, but I'm telling you, when I prayed for Daniel, he forgave. He said yes. He said yes. He said yes. His heart was moved and had no reason to be. I was not no cute little kid looking up batting my eyes. My kids, Maddie and Noah, they get Marley because She's little. And she says it the cutest, all of them. They'll say, if they want cookies, I promise you, y'all need the Lord for that. Y'all need to whoop them after the service. So. No, I'm just playing. Amen. I love my kids. They're great kids. I pick it at them. But Marley, man, she just says it cute, don't she? Maddie and Noah say, hey, ask Mama and Daddy if we can get some cookies tonight. And Marley will say, Daddy, we get some cookies? I say, yeah, I guess. But you know, I'm not no Marley. Ugly, all over. I'm born ugly. I'm going to live ugly. And more likely, I'm going to die ugly. Dad tells me I'm ugly all the time, but I look just like him. Amen. I'm telling you. Listen, somebody said, pretty ain't but skin deep, but yeah, but ugly goes all the way to bone, friend. Hey, I got bone disease. I'm so ugly. I'm telling you, amen. The ugly goes on down. Ain't you glad Jesus ain't concerned about you being pretty to be saved? I know I am, amen. I'm glad he saves ugly people, amen. I said that to say this. I had nothing, man. I look up to God in my old eyes. I can back my eyes and I can try to talk cute. Lord, would you please save me? Yeah, that's not impressing God. That's not making God want to do it. I can't impress God. I can't be cute. I can't be cute enough for God to be moved. So what moved God? You ever thought about that? What moved God about you? You ever thought about how ugly your sin really is? Think about what Jesus died for. What did Jesus die for? What did he die for? Sin. Our sin. So God poured judgment of sin on Jesus. So if you ever wonder how ugly sin is, look at the cross. If you could ever view it as it really happened, Jesus' nails going through his hands on both sides. His feet put together and a nail shoving through both of them. And right through the blood pouring everywhere. He's been beat with a cat of nine tails that has ripped his insides out to where they said that his intestines would even be hanging out at times. People would have that. He said, how ugly is sin? Well, how ugly is that? His face was beat so bad that I believe his lips turned inside out. The Bible said his visage was marred more than any man. I believe that means you couldn't even tell he was a man on the cross. I believe he looked like a piece of raw meat hanging on the cross of Calvary. He looked like a Brother Jimmy, ripped meat on the cross of Calvary. He looked like hamburger, Brother Roger, had been sliced all to pieces. That's what he looked like on the cross. So what's my sin look like? That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. However, so if you look at that, and who's got sin in here? Who's got sin? Who's got sin? Y'all got sin? Y'all got sin? Y'all got sin? I do too. So if God looks at me and God looks at you, and that's the ugly vileness he sees, what in the world makes him want you so bad? What makes him want you? You ever thought about what makes him want us? What makes him moved to want me? Can I tell you what makes him move to want us? Because he loves you. God is love. Listen to what the Bible said, guys. Listen to this. It said that God is love, but it also said this, said that herein is love. Not that we love God, but that he loved us. Listen, it's not amazing that I love God. Y'all agree with that? Listen to this. Did Jesus, any of y'all been saved? Any of y'all been saved? It's not amazing that you love him. That is not amazing. Brother Tony, I ought to love him. He bought me and saved me from going to hell. I should love him. It is not amazing that I love him, Brother Wayne. What is amazing is that he loves me. He, the one who created all, loves I'll tell you what, one of the greatest gifts you'll ever get for Christmas is to be forgiven. For everything you've ever done, to be forgiven. To not have to worry about it anymore and have it under the blood of Jesus. Life don't have an eraser. And people will remember it to the day you die. But as far as God's concerned, if you've been saved by the grace of God, you're forgiven. Just like that lady I said earlier. And I'm done. Lee, if you come on piano. I tell you, lady I said earlier that was saved, that come back to her husband and wanted forgiveness. And he didn't put her name on the tombstone. He didn't put the day she was born to the day she died. He didn't put anything else on there. No epitaph. Just one word. Forgiven. 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 I don't know about you, but if you're not saved, more than anything in the world, you need to be forgiven. If you are saved, and you say, Brother John, I feel like just giving up and quitting on God because you talking about 7 times. I went way beyond 7 times. Yeah, but that was Peter's answer. That wasn't Jesus' answer. Don't just listen to what Peter said. He didn't always get it right. But Jesus did. He said, I say to you, not 70 times. Not 7 times. 7 times 7. And I worship and I glorify God on the fact that it's more than 7 times. Because I've definitely failed him more than that since I've been saved. I got the privilege of teaching Sunday school this morning. I told them this morning, if just this last week was brought up, we've already done enough last week to go to hell over. Not even to mention going back before we got saved. One sin's worth going to hell over. I'm talking about it if you'll go to hell over. If that was what it was. But ain't you glad that Jesus forgives for past, for present, for future stuff I hadn't even committed yet. He forgives. I want you to stand on your feet with your eyes closed, head bowed. That's what God told me to preach to you. There's no doubt about it. I know it's what God said preach. Forgiveness. Maybe you want to come down to an altar and thank the Lord